Welcome to Season 4 of My Wife the Dietitian, a fun, evidence-based weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy living.
On today's show, we're discussing some research findings that show how meal timing can influence your weight as well as your overall health. It's an interesting discussion. Stay with us.
Enjoying the show? You can help others find it and enjoy it too by giving us a 5-star rating or review. If you feel like reaching out to us with a question or comment, you can send us an email at mywifetherd@gmail.com. And don't forget to visit our website at mywifethedietitian.com, as well as our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy the show. Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian. Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Rob.
How's it going?
I'm okay. How are you?
Just okay.
I'm pretty good.
Pretty good. You're getting better. Hopefully, I'll ask you at the end of the episode. We'll see how you're doing then.
Okay, I'll be fantastic.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah. Today, I want to talk about a question I got from a client, and this is a common theme I hear from people all the time. If I'm trying to lose weight, maybe I should skip breakfast.
Oh, classic.
Or, just
stop eating.
Eat
I
less.
should eat less, skip lunch, or maybe not eat any dinner, or one of those kind of.
Well, actually, no, just breakfast.
Oh,
Let's
yeah?
talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not just what you eat, it's when you eat that makes a difference.
Or what you don't eat. But it's the when that we're going to focus on today.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It makes a difference, the when.
Okay. How so?
Meal timing significantly impacts metabolic health
Really?
and sleep and weight management.
Okay.
It really actually affects all of those things. And I want to talk about this study that was done in Tel Aviv University with 93 women, obese women, and they were put on a 1,400 calorie diet, which is quite.
That's like my breakfast.
Yeah,
It's not
your
a lot.
breakfast,
It's not a lot of food, right? 1,400 calories.
No, it's pretty low calories. So they had to eat this for 12 weeks, and half the group ate a large breakfast and then less later on in the day, and the other half ate most of their calories at dinner. So the breakdown was breakfast for the breakfast eaters, 700 calories at breakfast, lunch was 500, and 200 at dinner.
Okay.
And then the other group had 200 calories at breakfast, 500 at lunch, and 700 at dinner.
So they both had exactly the same amount of calories over the course of the day.
Yes.
Okay. The only difference was when they had them.
Exactly.
Okay. And what were the results?
Well, what do you think it might have been?
Well, I know because I heard it. So I would have guessed that. I think I would have guessed the same as what the results are because I know enough now. But if I didn't know, I wouldn't think it would make a difference.
Right, because you hear that calories in versus calories out.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And so you think, well,
yeah, what difference does it make when I eat them?
Exactly. But it does make a difference. Like meal timing is very important. And it happens, I notice this a lot for many clients who are intermittent fasting and maybe not eating breakfast because they just don't feel like it for whatever reason. And we've talked about this before, but it actually makes a difference, like metabolically. So the results were...
Drum roll.
So 1,400 calories is not that much. So the people that had the bigger dinner and not as much breakfast lost 7 pounds.
Right.
Which is a lot. It's pretty good in 12 weeks. And the people that ate the larger breakfast and less at dinner, they lost 17 pounds.
Wow.
And reduced inches on their waistline and all the other indicators. So their insulin went down, their glucose went down, and their triglycerides also went down. So basically with those...
Would that affect their cravings?
Those metabolic results, it could have reduced their risk of cardiovascular disease and diabetes and other metabolic problems like metabolic syndrome.
Right. Okay.
So would it affect their cravings? Good question. Is that what you asked?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's what I see is people who skip breakfast tend to overeat later in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And do you see that? Have you talked to people or know people?
I am people.
No, but
I that happens with me. If I don't eat a lot earlier in the day, no, I'm who you're referring to. So,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that symptom well. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I was going to ask if the people who were eating a lot at breakfast and then tapering off their calories throughout the day, I wonder if they were hungry and having cravings later in the day. Like, were they going to bed hungry or were they satiated?
The people that had a big breakfast?
Yeah. Did it say anything about that in the study?
It didn't.
No, I'd be curious to know about that, if that was a factor, because that's really interesting. I mean, they got great results, but it's not going to be something that you can sustain long term if you're super hungry by 6 o'clock at night and you're like, oh, I can't eat because I'm not allowed to, but I'm really hungry.
Right. I mean, they did have some dinner.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't
200 calories.
Yeah, I know. It's
that's
quite
like a piece of cheese with a cracker.
Yeah, but an interesting study though, eh?
Really? Well, it is. Yeah, it's interesting what it shows, which is that, the timing does matter because most people wouldn't even think of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. And we know that if you're a late night eater and you're kind of not eating earlier, it can disrupt the body's natural clock and increase your risk of obesity and metabolic problems. So meal timing influences the body's circadian rhythm. So if you are eating late at night, that can definitely impact. It's a vicious cycle, really, because you won't feel hungry in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see with clients. But the research, that's cool. The study actually showed the difference in what happened to these people.
Yeah. Now, did the first group lose weight because it was like a restricted calorie diet to begin with, like the 1400?
Yes, I think so.
They're probably both groups are probably eating a lot more food than that to begin with. And so they restrict both groups. That's why the first group lost weight as well. And the second group lost more weight because of when they were eating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they get a similar result if they were eating at the same time, but more calories. Like if they, instead of 1400 calories, they're eating 2500 calories each group. Mm-hmm. Do you think the timing would still play a factor?
Yes, I totally think so because of what I see with clients, and a lot of them aren't eating just 1400 calories.
Mm-hmm. So it would apply to just a regular kind of diet is what I'm going to get at here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, meal timing does make a difference big time. And it actually affects your sleep too, the sleep quality.
Yeah, the group that's eating more later in the day, they're going to have other results that are going to disrupt certain things in your body, like sleep and...
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It actually impacts the sleep. And then that has the vicious cycle of affecting the way your body uses energy and your risk for overweight and obesity, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So because of it's like the stress response.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not getting a good sleep, then your body's not rested, you're not feeling good. There's this ripple effect. And then all of those hormones that we talked about with Anna Reisdorf the other day regarding, remember we had the interview about Ozempic and GLP-1 medications.
Right.
And all of the cascade effects of cortisol and insulin and ghrelin and leptin and all the different hormones that can influence how our body works.
Yeah, that was a really interesting interview.
Yeah. So with the meal timing, so consistent meal pattern is really important. So having, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 meals is a good idea, 2 to 3 meals a day. Mm-hmm. That offers positive metabolic outcomes. and circadian rhythms. So the meal timing influences the body's circadian rhythm. And as I mentioned, if you're misaligned in terms of like if you're eating later at night, this can disrupt the rhythm of your body and potentially lead to obesity if you're doing that for years. Like if you're always in that kind of routine.
That's kind of our routine in the summer because we're kind of like, well, because of the daylight, it's late, it's light late. So you think it's still like afternoon, but it's really like 8 o'clock at night, and your afternoon activities kind of like, you know, merge into the evening. And then before you know it, it's like 9 o'clock and you haven't eaten dinner yet. And, you know, I find it's like our schedule in the summer, like it's all over the map. And I really look forward to the fall when things are a bit more, you know, scheduled, because it is difficult. You know, you're going to bed later, you're eating dinner later. It does sort of throw a wrench into your kind of how your body's feeling.
Well, I think I reflect on people who work shift work, and this really impacts them because meal timing, obviously, if they're sleeping all day, getting ready to go to a night shift, and then they have to eat at some point, and maybe they're eating all night, and that really can disrupt the circadian rhythms. And I have had many clients who are shift workers, and it really plays havoc on their metabolism. And, you know, that's why I honestly think that people should get danger pay or like higher wage or something if they have to work shift work, because it's almost riskier for your health and it's not good for your body in the long term. So yeah, like, I mean, just looking at this study and learning all about, you know, meal timing and how important, like when we eat, how that affects our health is, it's so interesting to see the difference. It's not just about what calories, it's about when you're eating.
And if you're going to talk to a new client who's wanting to lose weight, is that something that you were going to suggest as one of the strategies?
Oh, well, when I talk to new clients, I see what their lifestyle is like, what they're doing already, what they're eating, how they're eating, and then we work together on figuring out, you know, the best strategy for them. But I know from working with people for so many years, for 28 years, and seeing these studies and these findings, it really just cements the idea that it's not just about calories in, calories out. Like, bodies are a complex system. We're not a machine. There's hormones and other chemicals like neurotransmitters that actually can influence how our body burns calories and how our metabolism works.
Yeah, interesting, hey?
Yeah, so I think that's really cool, just to know that you can have some control over your health and how, you know, it's going to influence many different factors in your life, including your sleep, which is really interesting because they've actually shown studies that people that are late night eaters don't have as good quality sleep. So that can also...
Yeah, influence things, right? So bottom line is eat more, kind of like front load. Isn't that what the term you use? Is kind of front load your day with your eating?
Yeah, I have to say there are genetic differences, and like some people are naturally night owls, some people are naturally morning larks, and that can have an influence on your natural way of your rhythms through the day and how your body reacts to everything. But in general, we're seeing these interesting correlations with trying to eat when you wake up. Like, don't skip breakfast. That's why it's called break the fast. And, you know, eat earlier in the day and then less as the day goes on at night, especially a lot less.
Yeah, yeah. And like we said before, you're not eating like healthy food late at night.
Well, some people do. And, you know, actually it's interesting because if you haven't had enough, or you had, say, an early dinner and it's like 4 or 5 hours before you go to bed, it might be worth having some sort of snack before bed, because that could help with the melatonin production. So like yogurt and berries, for instance, or cereal and milk, or banana and peanut butter. That could be helpful right before bed, just in terms of if you get leg cramps or any issues with feeling really hungry, that could help your body with sleep. So I'm not saying like starve yourself, but I'm just saying that, like as you said, many people end up not eating the best food, before bed. Like if they're, watching a movie, or you're just...
the snacks come out. The snacks. The chips and the popcorn and that kind of stuff is more associated with nighttime snacking, I think.
You got it. That's true. And actually in the study, the one that was done in Tel Aviv University, it's so interesting. The large breakfast eaters, so the half of the group that had the large breakfast, they actually included dessert, cakes, cookies in that breakfast. So in that 1,400 calories with the 700 calorie breakfast, part of that breakfast included dessert type foods.
Really?
And they still lost 17 pounds and decreased inches in the waistline. So, wow. And I've told you before, we've talked about how our body is more sensitive to glucose and insulin early in the morning, like in the day. So that's a good time if you love, treats, or you want something like as a sweet treat or whatever. Earlier in the day would be a better time to do that than late at night.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Have chocolate chips in your cereal. No, I'm just joking.
I was going to say, yeah, exactly. A little chocolate syrup on my breakfast. Nice.
It just kind of shows, though, it's not just about what you eat, but when you eat, and timing is a factor.
Yeah, for positive and negative reasons. So, like eating late is going to have some negative impacts. Eating early is going to have positive impacts. So, good tips.
Do you have any questions?
Oh, I can ask questions? Okay. Well, she's opening up the floor to me here, huh?
Actually, I do have a question.
Okay.
We talked about some healthy food ideas for nighttime, but what about breakfast? Are there good food ideas for breakfast?
Ooh, great question. Yeah, well, that makes sense since we talked about kind of eat like a king for breakfast, a prince for lunch, and a pauper for dinner. That's kind of what this study showed, that meal timing and the bigger proportion of calories and nutrition starting the day. And so some good examples would include some protein and a source of fiber, but also it's good to include some healthy fats in there and a good source of calcium. And that would all help with a good start to your day.
Okay, I'm going to ask why.
Because we want to get a good portion of our nutrition earlier in the day to like start that, not metabolism, but to start that starter engine.
Yeah, like your body processes kicked into gear kind of thing.
Yeah, and we know that our body operates better, more sensitive to the glucose and helping with the blood sugar rise. It's good in the morning. And we did do quite a few episodes about this in past, so we'll link them all in the show notes, but we've got episode 171, Break the Fast and Fuel Your Day. Nutrition Nuggets 119. Just last month we did this one. Eat protein for breakfast to lose weight.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of the idea of what this study was about. And Nutrition Nuggets 25, 9 protein-rich breakfast food ideas. And then last summer we did one called How Many Plant Foods Are in Your Breakfast? And that was Nutrition Nuggets 73.
And I think the goal was to aim for, is it 30 a week?
Yes.
30 different plant foods per week.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were kind of surprised at how easy that was.
Yeah, but a lot of people think that's a lot.
It sounds like a lot, but yeah, it is. Once you look at all the things that, like oats are a plant food. I didn't. I was just thinking like salad kind of things, but oats are a plant food. Spices, herbs, those all count. You know, nuts, seeds, all those things. Like my breakfast had like 12 just in my bowl of oatmeal. All the different things I put in there. I was like, holy moly, okay, I'm doing all right.
Exactly. What's in your breakfast? Because that's a really good
start to the day. That like a pretty solid meal, right?
That's a good example when you said what are some good breakfast meals.
I eat oatmeal with like hot water on it, and then I put raisins, dried or whatever dried fruit we have, frozen berries usually, lots of nuts and seeds, so almonds, peanuts, walnuts.
Can I just ask
cashews.
about the frozen berries? Do you actually heat them up before you put them in there, or do you put them in frozen?
You could do either. I put them in frozen, and then I heat the whole thing up.
I kind of let my berries, I put them in the microwave to soften them up, and then I add the oats.
I like your berries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way. So you obviously want to thaw your berries before you eat them.
Yeah, some people take a big load out of the freezer the night before and put them in a different container, and then they're just always in the fridge ready to add to your cereal or dessert or whatever, yogurt.
However it works.
Mm-hmm.
But what else do I put in there? I put in some like wheat germ, oat bran, some hemp hearts, like I said, the pumpkin seeds, that sort of thing. Chia, flax seeds.
Ground
flaxseed, yeah. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff, but all of that stuff actually is plant foods, right? And there's a good mix of all the things that you want to eat for breakfast, like your protein and your fats and all the things you mentioned.
I didn't hear a source of calcium. I mean, sometimes seeds have a little bit, but if you add yogurt, which might not be a plant food, or it could be a plant-based yogurt, or milk, or soy milk, that would be good too, just to, before you eat it. Or if you're making overnight oats the night before and you need, you could put water in there, but also maybe a milk or yogurt.
I guess I could mix the milk and the water, like half and half, like use the milk as the liquid instead of water.
Sure. The way I do it is I use the water to make the meal, and then right before I eat it, I add the milk, kind of like cereal and milk,
Yeah, it'd be all down the front of me if I did it like that, though.
Okay.
I'm a sloppy eater.
But that's the overnight oats. There's other options for breakfast. If you're not an oat eater, I mean, you can use chia pudding, where you put chia seeds in water in like a mason jar and just have that in the fridge, and then use that chia pudding for different, like adding to smoothies, or you could put it in a dish and then put other, your berries, and using the chia seeds and chia pudding instead of oats. So it, that type of like one of those parfaits. I think we did that also recently. Episode 96 is breakfast, the most important meal of the day, was another episode. And Nutrition Nuggets 48 was breakfast foods to ditch.
Right.
And also definitely eggs and like some spinach and some cheese, or maybe eggs like in a burrito, kind of a wrap, an egg wrap, or egg frittata, like made in like the muffin tins with peppers and onions and spinach, mushrooms, cheese, all of those kind of ideas too are great for breakfast. Or even if you have leftovers from the night before, so you have leftover turkey or leftover chicken or leftover meat, you could always use that and just have a savory type of breakfast with veggies and meat and whatever type of grain or sweet potato that you have. So
yeah, for sure.
There's no rules, but it's good to have that balance and variety, with including protein, fiber, some sort of healthy fat would be great, and a good source of calcium. And when you ask why, there's lots of reasons why, but the protein, the healthy fat, and the fiber all help you keep satisfied longer.
Like feeling full, you mean?
Feeling full, yeah. But you might even need a snack in the morning, and that's fine if you like to have snacks between meals. But this type of breakfast will help, and I've seen it over and over again with clients, helps reduce cravings later in the day.
Yeah. And I know when I switched to eating what I eat now, the oatmeal, made a huge difference. I can go right through, and I like to eat a lot of food. My body needs it, and I'll eat my breakfast at 8 in the morning. I'm fine until 1 o'clock without a big snack. I might have a little snack, but in between, but yeah, it keeps me full, and it powers me through right till lunch, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Absolutely. So hopefully that gives people some ideas about trying to eat earlier in the day to help prevent cravings later on and help prevent overeating, later in the day when maybe your body hasn't got enough nutrition earlier in the day.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect.
Well, thanks for sharing that. If you want more great tips, check out our website. We've got a great blog on there. We've got a weekly newsletter that's full of great tips, recipes, information, updates, all sorts of things. You can get both of those at mywifethedietitian.com. You can also send us your questions. If you have anything you'd like to know, nutrition related, let us know. You can send us an email at mywifethed@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Feel free to reach out to us there as well. And if you're liking the show, let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback. Anything you've got to say, ideas, just general feedback is totally welcome. We want to know that we're giving you what it is that you're needing as far as nutrition information and health information and entertainment and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, let us know. You can rate and review the show on most platforms that you're listening to the podcast. So please do. Also, share with a friend. That's another thing that helps us out, helps your friend out, makes you feel good, because sharing makes people feel good. Right? There you go. Okay, we will be back Wednesday with our nutrition nuggets. So until then, have a fantastic week. And Sandra's feeling much better now. She's got a big smile on her face. She's a happy camper.
Thanks for joining us today on My Wife the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.